What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/petty revenge. This story's called What Happens When an Entitled Karen Meets a Petty Teenager and Fast Food Worker. I was listening to r/ today, and I remembered this story. This isn't my petty revenge, but I was witness to it. As you all know, a lot of 2020 graduates got screwed over when it came to, graduating. To lift our spirits, Krispy Kreme decided that, on National Donut Day, every 2020 graduate who could prove they were a graduate with a cap and gown, grad merch, a diploma, etc., would get a free dozen donuts. There is one Krispy Kreme in my town. Additionally, you should not underestimate the will of teenagers and young adults and their desperation for free donuts because, by God, there were cars in droves wrapping around the Krispy Kreme and into the road for free donuts. Now, I need to describe the Krispy Kreme in order for this to make sense. There's a tiny building, and there's two entrances, one closer to the drive-thru, one to the parking lot. Due to the overwhelming amount of customers, there were people entering and getting in line through the parking lot entrance and wrapping around in a zigzaggy-like line around the parked cars. My sister and I were waiting in line like good noodles, but as we inched closer to the front, this Karen-esque obese woman in a muted orange Jeep rolled up beside us through the drive-thru entrance. We laughed. No way was anyone gonna let her in, because like I said, young broke adults and free donuts. Plus, some of us have been waiting there for over an hour, so if Karen here thought us ravenous children were just gonna scooch her on in, she was sorely mistaken. Well, Karen didn't stop trying to merge in, and what you've yet to know, readers, is that my sister takes no bullcrap from the people who think they can just ram little cars over and get their way. So she floored it and got on the ass of the car in front of us, glaring at Karen. Karen is screaming at us, blowing her horn and inching closer and closer. Insert relevant look. Suddenly, Karen floored it and screeched towards the passenger door where I was sitting, slamming on the brake just as her car was about to hit us. Both of us, and probably a lot of other people, screamed, relevant? But she continued to lay on her horn, claiming we cut her off. I decided we should not engage in the crazy and ignored her. My sister, however, is not like me. She was boiling that this woman almost hit us. Karen had merged in behind us because I guess the car didn't want to be almost hit like we were, and Karen refused to back up. So she rolled down the windows. I'm like, Bonnie, don't do anything stupid. She'll rear-end us. And Bonnie said, let her. She can pay for it then. Karen wanted to order special donuts, apparently, and was being stupidly specific with each one. Or at least that's what little I heard over my sister's petty revenge. Bonnie pulled up a playlist of graduation music. The type they play as you walk across the stage to freedom, or to a 9-to-5, and watching in her rear mirror. Every time Karen opened her mouth, she cranked the radio as loud as it would go, drowning her out. Karen would lay on her horn, demanding we shut up. Bonnie would turn it down. Karen would start to order again. Bonnie would turn it back up. I was laughing hysterically for the few minutes it lasted, and Bonnie was grinning until I said, listen, Bonnie, the people behind us want their donuts. Reluctantly, Bonnie gave in and rounded the corner to get our donuts. We could hear Karen screaming her order now. They better get them right! As we pulled up, they asked for proof, and the girl said, 1 dozen donuts, gotcha, and ducked back inside. We waited. Karen rolled in behind us. A different worker appeared at the window. She leaned out. Did you get helped? She had asked. Yeah, I said. We did. We're just waiting. The worker glanced out of the corner of her eye at the orange Jeep. She looked at us, then back at Karen. Karen blew on her horn again, likely demanding we hurry up. It was like a light bulb flashed and a grin appeared on her face.
"Here you are,"
she exclaimed, passing 2 boxes of donuts through the window.
"Enjoy and congratulations."
My sister and I were too stunned to say anything, assuming she saw the 2 of us and presumed we were both grads. So we took our donuts and left, laughing at our good fortune. Wanting to eat a donut, I popped open the top box and gasped. A special 12 dozen donuts. I was staring at it, then glanced at Bonnie. These were specifically ordered, not an assorted dozen, nor were they the special 2020 box that we received as me being a grad. On top of the box was written, "Special order." Bonnie, a quivering laugh escaping my lips. "We stole Karen's donuts?" Yo, Krispy Kreme is so good. I haven't had it very many times, but the few times I've had it were very special. The texture that they have in those donuts should be illegal. It's like insanely addictive. You eat one and you're like, wow, I want another one. So you eat another one, and then like you keep doing that, and like you don't notice that you ate like 5 donuts, and like you're a fat ass now, and there's nothing you can do about it. This story's called, "Don't Wanna Play How We Agreed? You're Gonna Have a Bad Time." This will be just a quick one that popped into my head from childhood. Me and my friend, Mary, knew each other our whole lives due to our moms being friends before us. We would go over to each other's houses and play on the weekends, which was nice sometimes, but other times, Mary would be bossy, emotionally manipulative, and moody. It all makes sense if you looked at her family and how they would be constantly yelling and arguing. I would pick up on all these emotional changes and try to comply with her from one moment to the next, thinking that this was a normal friendship. I did not have a lot of experience with friends at the time due to homeschooling, so things carried on this way for a while. However, this particular time was enough to get some retaliation from me, which I wouldn't be so proud of if I said it now, but hey, I was a kid. We have just recently come up with the rule that whoever's house we were at, we would do what the person who lived there wanted to do. I was perfectly fine following her rules because we were at her house and she was happy. But here comes next weekend where we were at my house and I'm all excited to do the things I want. We were fine for a while, but then all of a sudden, Mary doesn't want to do this or that. I told her that we agreed on these rules. When Mary spits out,
"I don't follow anyone's rules, even my parents."
This is where things just clicked, and before I knew it, I said, "No wonder your parents yell at you all the time." She just looked at me with deer in headlight eyes and started bawling. Mary went and told my mom what I did, and I got chewed out for it, but it was worth it. Just so there's no misunderstanding, we are very good friends now, and Mary has grown to be an amazing, beautiful person. Thanks for reading. I'm pretty sure I was a brat when I was a kid. Because of divorce, I was raised as an only child for a long time, and so I wasn't fond of the idea of sharing, so I was a brat, much like Mary was, so I'm glad to see that she grew out of it and she's a good person now, because kids don't really have the most control over their behavior, and a lot of their behavior is learned behavior. This story's called, "Still Parking Here? Feel My Wrath." So here's the story. I live in an apartment complex with 30 plus occupants. Every week, our garbage is collected from the 2 containers we all share. Both containers are completely filled each week. Every Tuesday night, the containers are placed outside the gates, and Wednesday morning, we are blessed with empty containers for the next week. Sometime at the end of last year, a scooter appeared at the spot reserved for garbage collection. No biggie, maybe it's from someone who's visiting, but it didn't go away. We soon realized it belongs to a new tenant. No one has met this person. Inside the gates, we have a lot of space to park bicycles and scooters, yet the scooter was always parked outside the gate. Do not park here, spot reserved for garbage containers. The list goes on. The scooter didn't go away. Then it happened. The moment I snapped. The containers couldn't be placed outside for 2 weeks now. due to that scooter not just being parked there, but also blocking the gate. When I said the containers are completely filled each week, I didn't exaggerate. 1 week of not having our garbage collected caused the alley behind the gate to literally fill with rubbish. If you wanted to get out, you'd have to climb over 5 meters, 15 feet or something, of garbage bags. I was done. I took out the trash that night and make this person have a taste of his own medicine. I could barely roll the containers past the scooter. I placed them right next to it. Next up, the loose garbage bags. I stacked every bag close to the scooter, not touching it, but just close enough. We couldn't get out of the gate, now your scooter can't get out. I made a masterpiece. I was proud. Now please park your scooter inside the gate. Edit! Just to answer some often asked questions, we did call management, but they did what we expected, which was nothing. I moved the scooter a few times, but because of a wheel lock, it's hard to move, and it's not my job to move it anyway. Throwing the scooter in the bin and having it collected will stay a happy thought for me. I'm a passive-aggressive butthole, not a piece of crap. Then again, there's a camera outside, so I wouldn't even dare to do it. I absolutely hate living in an area where the garbage collection doesn't come frequently enough, so there's just a dumpster overflowing with garbage, and there's nothing you can do about it besides make a freaking mess. And that dude was just exacerbating an already prominent problem. Like, come on, man. This story's called Tricked Elementary School Bullies into Eating Underripe Berries. I got singled out a lot as a kid because I was an easy target. Small, sensitive, nice, cried easily. I was such an easy target that even bully victims bullied me. It didn't usually bother me. In fact, most of the time I didn't even see it as bullying because I was just that naive. However, every summer, my mom sent me and my sister to a vacation Bible school. The church it was hosted at had a bunch of blackberry bushes in the back, and during VBS, we just usually have a few activities outdoors. One year was cowboy themed, so we had lasso lessons back there. Vacation Bible school was hosted usually right before and or right as the berries were getting ripe. Because no one wanted to eat underripe blackberries, I was nominated to test a few for ripeness. Every day a week, I'd be forced to eat a few berries that were often horribly bitter, and everyone would laugh at me when I had to spit it out. This happened every year since kindergarten, up until about middle school. One year I decided I'd had enough. That year, the berries were taking their sweet time to ripen, and by Friday, they looked ripe. As usual, I was nominated to sample the berries. Mustering up every ounce of courage and effort I had, I popped one in my mouth. My eyes widened in delight. Wow, they're so sweet! I don't think they've ever been as good as this year. My stomach twisted as my throat convulsed. I wanted to spit onto the cement, the bitter taste still prominent on my tongue. No one noticed, as they had already pushed past me to get their own berries. I was wiping my tongue on my sleeve as they plucked handfuls of berries. All at once, berries flew into mouths. All at once, berries were spat onto the sidewalk. A cacophony of tormented wails arose as they realized that no, they weren't ripe. The berries weren't sweet at all. They tasted awful. I was laughing at them just as hard as they would laugh at me, but harder. As terrible as the berries tasted, they were indeed the sweetest I'd ever had, as they were sweetened with revenge. That was some pretty good revenge, and those kids were jerks, but I'm sure that felt pretty good, giving them a literal taste of their own medicine. This story's called Neighbor Didn't Like How I Did My Own Lawn. I moved into my house around the same time as my next door neighbors. New construction neighborhood. We both do our own lawns. They bag their cuttings. I self-mulch or leave the cuttings mulched on the lawn and don't bag. One day, I mow the lawn and leave for some errands. I come home to the cuttings I had left on the lawn all raked up and thrown all over my porch and door with a threatening note telling me if this ever happened again and I didn't do my own lawn properly from now on, there would be consequences and it would be worse next time. I went over to my neighbor's house and told her I would call the cops for threatening me if she ever tried a stunt like this again, and that next time she had a problem, maybe try talking with me like an adult, and gave her my phone number. Her husband apologized and said his wife was bat guano crazy and he was really sorry. Wife never apologized. I then promptly didn't mow the lawn for over 6 months. No HOA. I made sure to mow the backyard and make a display of bagging those cuttings and carrying them out front for the neighbor to see, but left the front nice and overgrown. I also ended up having her car towed from in front of her own house. Coincidentally, code enforcement can't force you to mow your lawn, but if you leave a vehicle on the street for over 72 hours without moving it, they'll impound. $600 later, she got her car back and I haven't heard a peep from her. Edit. Because you all keep saying he and him, referencing the OP, I'm a female. Women can do their own houses and do the lawn too. Or not in this case. Okay, that poor guy. I don't know how I deal with the fact that I'm married to a Karen and realizing it. Obviously, I would never get that far because as soon as any crazy bone starts showing, I'm gonna call it out, and if it doesn't change, I'm outie, bro. This story's called Force Me to Work Past My 2 weeks Notice? Fine, I'll just take my extra week off using sick time. My bosses are jerks and the company culture is trash. Ever since day one of my job, my bosses cared little about my work and about my well-being in general. They never transitioned me properly through training and never had time for me because they don't know anything about my work. I had to self-train myself, leading me to making redundant statements on Reddit posts. I'm kidding, you're fine, I'm just joking. When I finally found another opportunity, I was like, fornication under consent to the king, this company, and the bosses. I handed in my 2 weeks notice. HR contacted me and sat in a meeting with my bosses to pressure me to stay longer because they needed some more time to find a replacement. My job is very important for industrial work, and if I am not around, the industrial work would have to halt. I asked if I would be paid more for staying longer, and I was told no. I said, okay, I will be happy to stay an extra week, but after that, I wouldn't be able to stay any longer. Little did they know that I had accumulated sick leave. I don't get compensated for my remaining sick leave days, and I called in sick for the entire week. Best of luck, y'all. Edited to add, I stayed an additional 3 weeks on top of my 2 weeks notice. Sorry about formatting because I'm mobile edit too. Wow, I didn't expect this post to gain so much attention. There was some confusion as to why I had agreed to stay an extra week. I was forced to stay an extra week so that I could train the new hire. I'm the only one who knows how to do this work for the week. I mean, they can't really force you to stay, unless there's like a contract and you don't want to get sued, but that was very nice of you to stick around to hire replacements. But you keep in mind when you do stuff like this and you are actually that vital as personnel, if you halt the entire business or whatever, innocent people are gonna be out of a job for a little while. So keep that in mind when you're planning to halt your place of business. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.